Alright guys, welcome back to an all-new retrospective video. My name is Jack, and today we're going to be talking about Mortal Kombat. And not just Mortal Kombat of 1992, I think we're going to get a little bit into the entire series as a whole, so why not? So as usual, I'll be having my own personal experience in terms of words in the very beginning, and then we go right into the retrospective research, which is the meat and bones of this commentary, and then after that I offer my final thoughts and we're done. So I apologize ahead of time if my voice sounds off, which it probably does. I'm still battling a cold, but with that being said, the grind does not stop. So we're going to continue on and push forward like we always do. So without further ado, we're going to get right into my own personal opinions with the game. I mean, in 1992, when I went to the arcades in a place called Aladdin's Castle here in Florida, where I live, that is when I first got my hands on Mortal Kombat. It was I had actually stopped playing Street Fighter and I just wanted to see if there was something else, and then I ran into Mortal Kombat, and the difference was the digitized graphics. Everything looked real, there was blood added in there, and plus there were the fatalities. You just didn't know when you would see a fatality, right? So when I played that game, I had a fatality done to me one day by this one dude. I was 8 years old, by this one guy, and he played as Johnny Cage. And then I asked him how he did that, and he showed it to me. And then once he showed me how he did it, Johnny Cage pretty much became my main, because usually I was always attracted to ninjas, and obviously Liu Kang looked like Bruce Lee, and I knew who Bruce Lee was. So I would either pick Scorpion, Sub-Zero, or Liu Kang in the game. And then after I got destroyed and had a fatality performed on me, Johnny Cage pretty much became my main from there on out. So let's just say from there on out things changed. So man, it really was a unique time for Mortal Kombat, not just because of the fact there was also the rating system that was introduced thanks to the popularity of the game, despite the fact that it wasn't the most violent game, but there was also just the fact that it was popular because a lot of people would gather around and watch because they were wondering on whether or not they would see a fatality. Well, that was one of the reasons. Plus the fact that everything looked real, despite the fact that it didn't play as good as Street Fighter 2, was just huge. And then after that, in 1993, when MK2 came out, everybody played that game. Everybody pretty much played Mortal Kombat 2, and it just was an overall improvement in every way, shape, or form from the original. I mean, from a gameplay perspective, from a graphics perspective, like everything improved. There was more fatalities, more characters, more secrets, more blood. I mean, you name it. Everything that you could ever wonder from a sequel just encapsulated Mortal Kombat 2. And it was, to this day, I would probably say that Mortal Kombat 2 had pretty much the biggest impact ever out of any Mortal Kombat game, despite the fact that obviously sales have continuously gotten bigger and bigger for NetherRealm. I'd say the level of impact that Mortal Kombat had did not surpass Mortal Kombat 2. It's really hard to believe that the original Mortal Kombat actually got eclipsed by MK2, but it did. And yeah, the Ed Boon and company and John Tobias, they really just did an excellent job of making a full-on sequel to the original game that just absolutely blew everybody away. So, and then obviously in Mortal Kombat 3 a few years later, they basically in 1995 they released that, and they basically put it in a more modern setting and added in some dial-up combos and stuff like that. It was just insane. I mean, I could write an entire essay about Mortal Kombat, pretty much. Like, I can write an entire essay about my personal experience from the start of the game, of the original, all the way up to what we've had recently. So, the experience was incredible. The 3D games were incredible, and I took them for what they were. Deadly Alliance, Deception, Armageddon, not as good, but Deception was my personal favorite of the 3D games. And then you had the 2.5D in Mortal Kombat 4 that I actually got on the PlayStation, and it was the last arcade for Mortal Kombat. And then obviously Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 came out after the original Mortal Kombat 3, or should I say the vanilla Mortal Kombat 3, that added in Scorpion, which was, and as well as other characters that weren't in the game, because there were time restraints, and I guess they were just rushed to release that game when it released. So, and then obviously Mortal Kombat 9 was obviously the biggest love letter ever to fans, OG fans, and fans of the original trilogy. I grinded the hell out of Mortal Kombat 9, and then MKX was absolutely huge because the graphics were absolutely incredible. and the level of detail and the way the fatalities were and everything like that. Holy moly. And when people saw the footage, the gameplay footage for the first time at E3, they were like, holy crap, it looks almost as good as the trailer, the reveal trailer. So and with Mortal Kombat 11, that followed as well. And Mortal Kombat 11 looked even better than that. Granted, I mean, it was on much better hardware than the previous generation, but still, you guys get the point. The games just keep on looking better and better, and NetherRealm rarely makes the same mistake twice. I don't think they've even made the same mistake twice. And from a story perspective, things have kind of gone back and forth. Right now, they're playing with time. And it's just really interesting to see where the story goes, like where the lore goes. Which characters are we going to see come back? Which new characters are we going to see? Which direction are we headed in? So, and as far as NetherRealm is concerned, it's going to be real interesting to see what they make after Mortal Kombat 12 comes out. Because, as always, they've kind of hinted at and teased at a possible Mortal Kombat versus, not Mortal Kombat versus DC. We've already had that. Mortal Kombat versus, Marvel versus DC. I mean, I think that would be an excellent film. They've already been in talks with Marvel. Ed Boon accidentally revealed that in an interview with IGN that he had a while back ago before the release of Mortal Kombat 11, and he accidentally let the cat out of the bag. So, if you were to have an MK versus, a DC versus Marvel game, that'd be great. And the biggest thing as far as Mortal Kombat 12 goes that I'm excited about is Conquest Mode. Conquest Mode was bananas. Conquest Mode was incredible, and now the fact that they're probably going to release a full-on Conquest Mode, like that's basically going to be like an open world RPG with elements in there, that for me has me the most excited. And obviously with everything else that NetherRealm has to offer, right? You've got the story mode, you've got all the challenge towers and all the different changes that happen every week to grind for items and loot, and unlockables, different character skins, you name it, right? And then obviously the crypt in Mortal Kombat 11 was almost like 70% RPG in and of itself. There's only like about 30 or 40% more content that they needed to add in order to turn that game into a full-on RPG. So if you look at the evolution of the crypt for how it was originally initiated back in Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, to where it was just coffins that you would unlock, until to what we have today with Mortal Kombat 11, it's really turning into something. And people have been requesting Conquest Mode to come back for a long time. So my experience with Mortal Kombat, even though I don't play fighting games as much anymore, Mortal Kombat has always been that game that I kept my eye on, because before I got into grinding multiplayer shooters, namely Call of Duty, Mortal Kombat was that game before that time that I used to grind, and I mean grind, and we're talking about arcade too. I spent God knows how much money in the arcades as a kid, with quarters and tokens and all that stuff, grinding Mortal Kombat. There's no other arcade to this day that I've spent playing, as far as time is concerned, than Mortal Kombat. I mean, Killer Instinct came close, but again, Killer Instinct only had one game that I played. I really didn't play Killer Instinct 2. And I played some Primal Rage, and I played Street Fighter, but in total time and in total, as far as the sequels go and everything like that, there's no other game that came close to Mortal Kombat. And at home as well. So yeah, a lot of my gaming time has been put into the series. And even though, again, like I said, I'd probably say that Mortal Kombat 9 was the last Mortal Kombat that I grinded, like legitimately grinded and played the living hell out of. I have to say that, even though I did play some Mortal Kombat X and some Mortal Kombat 11, I'm always interested in terms of where the series is headed, and I've always wanted another reason to be brought back to it, right? So for me, nostalgia is a big factor with Mortal Kombat, but the Conquest Mode is something that may bring me back to the grind. As of right now, because of all the leaks and rumors that have been going around, Mortal Kombat 12 is actually my most anticipated upcoming game, which is going to come out this year at some time. And I personally think sometime this week we're probably going to get a reveal, if not next week or any day now. I mean, we're going to get a reveal of some kind. So with that being said, that is my quick and personal story as we went on through all the games in just a really quick fashion. But now we need to get into the retrospective part of this video, right? We're going to get into the research, so to speak, and we're going to get into the nitty-gritty details. And I'm very eager to learn something about Mortal Kombat that I probably did not know before, which would kind of be rare for me because I know quite a lot about the game, and I may get into it even more after we get through the retrospective part, so that way you guys can hear me out on that. I might just have a final thoughts, and then that'll be that. So sit back, relax, grab a drink if you need to, or a snack, and get ready to listen, because the history of Mortal Kombat is absolutely huge. So let's get right into it from beginning all the way down to the end. And here we go. So Mortal Kombat is an American media franchise centered on the series of video games originally developed by Midway Games in 1992. The development of the first game was originally based on an idea that Ed Boon and John Tobias had of making a video game starring Jean-Claude Van Damme. But when that idea fell through, a science fantasy themed fighting game was created instead. Still, the developers paid homage to him with Johnny Cage, one of the main characters of the franchise, a fictional film star whose personal style resembles Van Damme's. The original game spawned many sequels, with several action-adventure games. It also had a comic book series and a card game. Movie producer Larry Kazanoff licensed the rights to the game in the early 1990s and produced the first movie of the franchise. Kazanoff also produced a second movie, an animated TV series, a live-action TV series movies, first 1 million platinum-selling album, and a live-action tour. Mortal Kombat has become the best-selling fighting game franchise worldwide and one of the highest-grossing media franchises of all time. The series has a reputation for high levels of graphic violence, including mostly notably its fatalities, which are finishing moves that kill the defeated opponents instead of knocking them out. Controversy surrounding Mortal Kombat, in part, led to the creation of the Entertainment Software Rating Board, or ESRB, video game rating system. Early games in the series were also noted for their realistic digitized sprites and an extensive use of the palette swapping to create new characters. Following Midway's bankruptcy, the Mortal Kombat development team was acquired by Warner Bros. Entertainment and re-established as NetherRealm Studios. When it comes to gameplay, the original 3 games and their updates, which was Mortal Kombat, which came out in 1992, Mortal Kombat 2, which came out in 1993, and Mortal Kombat 3, which came out in 1995, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, which also came out later in 1995, and Mortal Kombat Trilogy, which came out in 1996, were 2D fighting games. The arcade cabinet versions of the first 2 used a joystick and 5 buttons: high punch, low punch, high kick, low kick, and block. Mortal Kombat 3 and its updates added a 6th run button. Characters in the early Mortal Kombat games played virtually identically to one another, with only major differences being in their special moves. Though through the 90s, the developer and publisher Midway Games kept their single-styled fighting moves with 4 attack buttons for a different array of punches, kicks, and blocks. Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance was the first Mortal Kombat game in which the characters could move in 3 dimensions, and Mortal Kombat 4 was the first to use 3D computer graphics. From Deadly Alliance to Mortal Kombat Deception, characters had 3 fighting styles per character, 2 unarmed styles, and 1 weapon style. While most of the styles use their series based on real martial arts, some are entirely fictitious. Goro's fighting styles, for example, are designed to take advantage of the fact that he has 4 arms. For Armageddon, fighting styles were reintroduced to a maximum of 2 per character, generally 1 hand-to-hand combat style and 1 weapon style. Due to the sheer number of playable characters, Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe dropped multiple fighting styles for most characters' favor, featuring each character a wide variety of special moves. 2011's Mortal Kombat returned to a single 2D fighting plane, although characters are rendered in 3D. Unlike previous Mortal Kombat games, each of the character's 4 attack buttons corresponds to one of the character's limbs. The buttons thus becoming front punch, back kick, back kick, corresponds to one of the character's limbs. Front indicates the limb that's closer to the opponent, and back indicates the limb that's further away from the opponent. This concept takes heavy inspiration from Tekken. Mortal Kombat Deception and Mortal Kombat Armageddon feature Conquest, a free-roaming action-adventure mode that significantly expanded on the single-player experience. Both games also include distinct minigame modes such as Chess Combat, an action strategy game similar to Archon, 2 bonus minigames, Puzzle Combat, inspired by Puzzle Fighter, and Motor Combat, inspired by Mario Kart. Features super deformed versions of Mortal Kombat characters. The games also contain various unlockable content and hidden cheats. One of the most noticeable features of Mortal Kombat series is its brutal, gruesome finishing moves, known as fatalities. Basic fatalities are finishing moves that allow various characters to end a match by murdering their defeated, defenseless opponent. Usually fatalities are exclusive to each character, and Deception being Mortal Kombat Armageddon, which features create a fatality, a feature that allows players to perform their own fatalities by conducting a series of violent moves chosen from a pool that is common to all characters. Upon finishing moves in various Mortal Kombats include animalities, introduced in Mortal Kombat 3. in which the victor turns into an animal to violently finish off the opponent. Brutality introduced in Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, which consists of bashing the opponent into pieces with a long combo of hits. And stage fatalities, or death traps, introduced in the original Mortal Kombat pit stage, where the victor can uppercut their opponent off the platform onto a bed of spikes below. Later made more difficult in Mortal Kombat 2 by requiring character-specific button sequence. Utilizing parts of certain stages to execute a lethal finishing move, such as a pool of acid, Mortal Kombat Deception added the Harakiri, a move that allows the loser to perform a suicidal finishing move, giving way to a potential race between both players to see if the winner can finish off the opponent before they can kill themselves. There are also two non-violent finishing moves in the series, which were introduced in Mortal Kombat 2 as a satire to the outage of the first game caused due to its violent content. Friendship moves, which result in a display of friendship toward the enemy instead of slaughter, and babalities, which turn the opponent into a baby. As far as the plot of Mortal Kombat goes, the series takes place in a fictional universe consisting of numerous realms, which, according to in-game backstories, were created by ancient, eternal, and ethical pantheon of preternatural divine beings known as the Elder Gods. The Mortal Kombat Deception Manual describes 6 of the realms as Earthrealm, home to such legendary heroes like Liu Kang, Kung Lao, and Sonya Blade, Johnny Cage, and Jax Briggs, and also under the protection of Thunder God Raiden. Netherrealm, the fiery depths of which are inhospitable to all the most vile, a realm of demons and shadowy warriors such as Quan Chi and Noob Saibot. Outworld, a realm consistent of strife which Emperor Shao Kahn claims his own. Zato, a realm of order, which inhabitants prize structure and order above all else. The realm of chaos, whose inhabitants do not abide by any rules whatsoever, and therefore consist of turmoil and change are worshipped. And Edenia, which is known for its beauty, artistic expression, and longevity of its inhabitants. The Elder Gods decreed that the denizens of the realm could only conquer another realm by defeating and defending realm's greatest warriors in 10 consecutive martial arts tournaments called Mortal Kombat. The first Mortal Kombat game takes place on Earthrealm, where several different warriors with their own reasons for entering the tournament, with the prize being the continued freedom of their realm under threat of a takeover by Outworld. Among the established warriors were Liu Kang, Johnny Cage, and Sonya Blade. With the help of Thunder God Raiden, the Earthrealm warriors were victorious, and Liu Kang became the new champion of Mortal Kombat. In Mortal Kombat 2, unable to deal with his minion Shang Tsung's failure, Outworld Emperor Shao Kahn lures the Earthrealm warriors to Outworld for a do-over, winner-take-all tournament, where Liu Kang eventually defeats Shao Kahn. By the time of Mortal Kombat 3, Shao Kahn merged Edenia with its empire and revived the former Queen Sindel in Earthrealm, combining it with Outworld as well. He attempts to evade Earthrealm, but is ultimately defeated by Liu Kang once more. After the Khan's defeat, Edenia was freed from its grasp and returned to a peaceful realm, ruled by Princess Kitana. The following game, Mortal Kombat 4, features the fallen Elder God Shinnok attempting to conquer the realms and kill Raiden. However, he is also defeated by Liu Kang. In Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, the evil sorcerers Quan Chi and Shang Tsung join forces to conquer the realms, killing series protagonist Liu Kang in the process. By Mortal Kombat Deception, after several fights, the sorcerers emerge victorious, having killed most of Earthrealm's warriors until Raiden steps forth to oppose them. The Dragon King Onaga, former ruler of Outworld, returned to merge all realms back together, but was eventually defeated by the game's protagonist, Shujinko. In Mortal Kombat Armageddon, the titular catastrophe begins. Centuries before the first Mortal Kombat, Queen Delia foretold the realms would be destroyed because the power of all the realms' warriors would rise to such greatness that it would have overwhelmed and destabilized the realms, triggering a destructive chain of events. King Argus had his sons, Taven and Dagon, put into incubation as one day they could be awakened to save the realms by Armageddon by defeating a fire spawn known as Blaze. In the end, however, Shao Kahn is the one who defeats Blaze and wins the war, causing Armageddon. The crossover Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe does not share continuality with the other games. After the simultaneous defeats of both Shao Kahn and the alien warlord as Darkseid in the DC Universe causes both villains to fuse into the entity Dark Khan. Both Mortal Kombat and DC Universes begin to merge. This brings the warriors and the heroes into conflicts after suffering bouts of uncontrollable rage. The heroes and villains of both universes repeatedly battle each other, believing each other to be responsible for the catastrophe, until only Raiden and Superman remain. The two confront Dark Khan and team up to defeat their common foe. After Dark Khan's defeat, the two realms diffuse, with Shao Kahn and Darkseid trapped in each other's universes to face eternal imprisonment. Excuse me. In the 2011 Mortal Kombat soft reboot, the Battle of Armageddon culminated with only two survivors, Shao Kahn and Raiden. On the verge of death by the former's hand, the latter sent versions of his past self, visions to his past self in a ditch attempt to prevent this outcome. Upon receiving the visions, the past Raiden attempts to alter the timeline and avert Armageddon amidst the 10th Mortal Kombat tournament during the original game. His attempts to alter history mean that the events played out differently than the original games. While he succeeds in preventing Shao Kahn's victory with the help from the Elder Gods, he accidentally kills Liu Kang in self-defense and loses most of his allies to Queen Sindel, leaving Earthrealm vulnerable to Shinnok and Quan Chi's machinations. Mortal Kombat X sees the Shinnok and Quan Chi enticing their plan, leading an army and undead revenants of those that were killed into Shao Kahn's invasion of Earthrealm. A team of warriors led by Raiden, Johnny Cage, Kenshi, Takahashi, and Sonya Blade oppose them, and in the ensuing battle, Shinnok is imprisoned within his amulet, and various warriors are resurrected and freed from his control. Through Quan Chi escapes, though. 25 years later, the Sorcerer resurfaces alongside the instructed Devora, and to facilitate Shinnok's return, a vengeful Scorpion kills Quan Chi, but fails to stop him from fleeing Shinnok. To combat him, Cassie Cage, daughter of Johnny Cage and Sonya Blade, leads a team composed of the next generation of Earthrealm's heroes to defeating him. With Shinnok and Quan Chi defeated, Liu Kang and Kitana's revenants assume control of the Netherrealm while Raiden taps into Shinnok's amulet. Mortal Kombat 11 and its expansion Aftermath sees the Architect of Time and Shinnok's mother, Kronika, working to alter the timeline following her son's defeat and Raiden's tampering with her work. In doing so, she brings past versions of Realm's heroes to the present, aligning herself with some of the rest to work and defeat her. After nearly killing Liu Kang a second time, Raiden discovers Kronika has manipulated them into fighting across multiple timelines as she fears their combined power. Despite her interference and attacks by her minions, Raiden gives Liu Kang his power, turning him into a god of fire and thunder so he can defeat Kronika. In an Aftermath expansion, it is revealed that Liu Kang evidently destroyed Kronika's crown, the item needed to restart the timeline. Her defeat also revives Shang Tsung, who was absent in the base game due to his imprisonment by Kronika. To recover the crown, Liu Kang sends Shang Tsung and other Earthrealm heroes back in time to obtain it before Kronika, though Shang Tsung manipulates events so that way he comes into possession of the crown. At the end, either Liu Kang or Shang Tsung become the Keeper of Time, depending on the player's choice, who they want to fight with in the final battle, and the outcome of that battle. When it comes to characters, though, through its iteration, the series has featured scores of playable characters, some of them becoming mainstays such as Baraka, Cassie Cage, Cyrax, Ermac, Fujin, Goro, Jade, Jax, Johnny Cage, Cabal, Kano, Kenshi, Kentaro, Kitana, Liu Kang, Kung Lao, Melina, Motaro, Nightwolf, Noob Saibot, Quan Chi, Raiden, Rain, Reptile, Scorpion, Sector, Shang Tsung, Shao Kahn, Shiva, Shinnok, Sindel, Scarlet, Smoke, Sonya Blade, Striker and Sub-Zero, and Tanya. Among them are Earth's humans and Cyborg, good and evil deities, and denizens of Outworld and other realms. Furthermore, starting with Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe, which featured several DC Universe heroes and villains in subsequent games, have included guest characters such as Freddy Krueger from A Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, Kratos from the God of War franchise, exclusively for the PlayStation 3, Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th, the Alien, Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise, Predator, the Terminator, RoboCop, Spawn, and John Rambo, and the Joker from DC Comics, who was previously in the Mortal Kombat vs. DC universe. When it comes to development of Mortal Kombat, as far as the origins go, Mortal Kombat started development in 1991 with only 4 people: Ed Boon, programming; John Tobias, art and story; John Vogel, graphics; and Dan Forden, sound design. According to Mortal Kombat actors Richard DeVizio and Daniel Pesina, the first game actually began as a ninja-themed project by John Tobias, a young new employee of Midway Games at the time, and then as well as Carlos Pesina. However, their pitch to Tobias boss Ed Boon was rejected by the entire management of Midway. Midway was then abortively approached to create a video game adaptation of the then upcoming 1992 film Universal Soldier, starring Jean-Claude Van Damme, and Tobias imagined a fighting game featuring a digitized version of Van Damme, intending to make a game a lot more hard edge and a bit more serious, and a little bit more like Enter the Dragon or Bloodsport than contemporary cartoonish fighting games. Tobias and Boone decided to continue their project. Even after the deal to use the Bloodsport license fell through, the first Mortal Kombat characters, Johnny Cage, played by Daniel Pesina, became a spoof of the whole Van Damme situation. DeVizio credits himself for convincing Tobias to go back to the original idea of trying again. It was the success of Capcom's Street Fighter II, The World Warrior, that finally convinced Midway Games to let the team produce their own arcade fighting game. The genre chosen by Tobias for his game to let him use as large digitized graphics. Let's try that again. The game chosen by Tobias for his game as to let him use a large digitized sprites as possible, but there was not much influence by Street Fighter II on the actual project. According to Tobias, who cited 1984's Karate Champ as an actual inspiration, they then intentionally worked on making a game different than Capcom's title in every way. Besides the digitized characters that differentiated it from contemporaries and drawn ones, one stark difference was in the high amount of blood and violence. Capcom Senior Director Communications later compared Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat by asking the interviewer preferred the precision and depth of Street Fighter or the gore and comedy of Mortal Kombat, and also stated that Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat rivalry was considered similar to the Coke and Pepsi rivalry in the 1990s. John Tobias said that his inspirations for the game's story and characters came from Chinese mythology, and some of the stories and removed events about the Shaolin monks regarding the Big Trouble in Little China. Tobias wrote that, although his movie kind of Americanized my obsession for supernatural kung fu films from China, it was not my biggest influence. My biggest influences came from Shui Hawk films, Zoo Warriors, and The Swordsman. He had to get them from bootleggers in Chicago's Chinatown. In 1995, he said about their general process of designing characters for the series, first we figure out the type, like she or he. Will she or he be big or small? Then we get the theme of the characters, like ninja or robot. Then we'll design the costume, and while doing all that, we created the storyline of how he or she fits into the universe. Then we'll find an actor that kind of resembles that character. Tobias' writing and artistic input for this series ended around 2000, following the release of Mortal Kombat 4. In 2012, he said, "I knew exactly what I was going to do with the future story. A few years ago, I wrote a sort of sequel to the first Mortal Kombat film, and it advanced into the game's mythological roots. The title Mortal Kombat was the idea of a pinball designer, Stevie Ritchie. Following difficulties trademarking the original title of Mortal Kombat, since then the series intentionally misspells various words with the letter K in place of C, for the hard C sound. According to Boone, during the MK game's development, they usually spell such words correctly or making the substitution when one of the developers suggests it. When it comes to graphics, the characters of the original Mortal Kombat and its initial sequels were created using digitized sprites, mostly based off of the film's actors, as opposed to hand-drawn graphics. Mortal Kombat games were known for their extensive use of the palette swapping, which was used for the ninja characters, and in fact, many of the more popular characters have originated as simple palette swaps. In the first game, the male ninja fighters were essentially the same character, only the colors of the attire. Fighting stance and special techniques mark a difference. Later games added further ninjas based off of the same model, as well as several female ninja color swap characters, initially also using just one base model. All of them gradually became very different characters in the following installments of the series. Eventually, Mortal Kombat 4 brought the series into 3D, replacing the digitized fighters with previous games with polygon models animated using motion capture technology. When it comes to hidden content, most of Mortal Kombat games included hidden characters, secret games, and other Easter eggs. The original Mortal Kombat was the first fighting game to introduce a secret fighter in Reptile, reached if the player fulfilled an obscure set of requirements. Future games would continue the trend of hidden characters. There's also a hidden game of Pong in Mortal Kombat 2, and in Mortal Kombat 3 includes a hidden game of Galaga. Many extras in the series have only been accessible through very challenging and demanding and sometimes coincidental requirements. In the Sega Mega Drive or Genesis versions contain a unique finisher named for Gality. The Sega CD version also contained an additional code known as the Dad's Code, which changed the names of the fighters so that way characters from the classic BBC comedy series Dad's Army. Some Easter eggs originated from in-jokes between members of the development team. One example is Toasty, which found its way into the game from a small image around a designer, Dan Ford, who would appear in the corner of the screen during gameplay after performing an uppercut and yell the phrase "Toasty," originating from him saying "You're toast." The egg was also the key to unlocking the hidden character Smoke when it happened in the portal stage in Mortal Kombat 2. In Mortal Kombat 4, Dan would say "Toasty 3D" after Scorpion did his burn fatality. a reference to the fact that this is the first 3D game in the series. Toasty is also found in Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks, appearing randomly after the character pulls off a chain of hits. Though a picture of Forden was removed from that title, but brought back for the 2011 Mortal Kombat game. Yet another private joke was hidden in the character Noob Saibot, who appeared in various versions of the game starting in Mortal Kombat 2. The character's name derived from the two series creators' surnames, Ed Boon and John Tobias, spelled backwards. In addition, a counter for Ermacs on the game's audit screen, Ermacs being sort of error macros, was interpreted by some players as reference to the hidden character in the original Mortal Kombat. The development team decided to turn the rumor into reality, introducing Ermac in Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 as an unlockable secret character. The hidden character Mocap, introduced in Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, is a tribute to Carlos Pacina, who played Raiden in Mortal Kombat and Mortal Kombat 2, and had served as motion capture actor for subsequent titles in the series. So for the main series, the original Mortal Kombat game was released by Midway in arcades during October of 1992 and has since been ported to several console and home computer systems, with early ports released by Acclaim Entertainment. The sequel, Mortal Kombat 2, was released in arcades in 1993, featuring an increased roster of improved graphics and gameplay, then ported to numerous home systems in 1993 through 1995, released again by Acclaim. Mortal Kombat 3 followed in 1995 both arcade and home versions. MK3 received 2 updates which expanded the number of characters and other features from the game. Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, released the same year in arcades, and Mortal Kombat Trilogy released for home consoles for the following year. The following game, Mortal Kombat 4, was released in 1997 and marked the jump to the series' 3D pre-rendered graphics instead of digitized 2D graphics used in previous games. Mortal Kombat 4 was ported to the PlayStation, Nintendo 64, Microsoft Windows. The updated version, titled Mortal Kombat Gold, was released exclusively from the Dreamcast in 1999. At this point that the series started being targeted at consoles only, with Mortal Kombat 4 being the last game in the series to be released in arcades. Also, the series naming scheme was changed to favor the use of subtitles instead of numerous installments. Beginning with Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance in 2002, Deadly Alliance was released initially for Xbox, PlayStation 2, GameCube, and Deadly Alliance was the first Mortal Kombat game to fully feature 3D gameplay, where up to Mortal Kombat 4 the gameplay had stayed in a 2D plane. This trend would continue for the following 2 games. The next sequel, 2004's Mortal Kombat Deception, released for the PlayStation 2, Xbox, and GameCube. Its port for the PlayStation Portable, Mortal Kombat Unchained, was released in 2006. Mortal Kombat Armageddon was published in 2006 for PlayStation 2, Xbox, and 2007 for the Wii. Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe, which is a crossover of fighting games between Mortal Kombat franchise and the DC Comics, was released in 2008 for the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360. A 9th game in the series, a reboot titled simply Mortal Kombat, was developed by the former Midway Games, now known as NetherRealm Studios. It was first released in the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 in 2011, and was ported to the PlayStation Vita in 2012, and to the Microsoft Windows in 2013. Downloadable content became a feature of games in the series of all of its time. The first sequel, Mortal Kombat X, was released in 2015 on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Microsoft Windows, and marked a return to number sequels. This was paired with the first Mortal Kombat game for tablet and smartphone computers, Mortal Kombat Mobile. The follow-up, Mortal Kombat 11, was released in 2019 for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and Microsoft Windows. A sequel, Mortal Kombat 4, is set to release in 2023. There have also been spin-off games in Mortal Kombat. Besides the fighting games, there are action-adventure titles that work as spin-offs from Mortal Kombat storyline. Mortal Kombat Mythology's Sub-Zero was released in 1997 for the PlayStation and Nintendo 64. This story is focused on the first incarnation of the character Sub-Zero and is focused on the timeline before the first Mortal Kombat game. The next action game was Mortal Kombat Special Forces, released in 2000 for the PlayStation, starring Major Jackson Briggs in his mission to destroy the Black Dragon. Both games were critically acclaimed, although the reception of Mythologies was more mediocre. Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks, developed by Midway Studios Los Angeles, was released in 2005 for the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox, starring Liu Kang and Kung Lao, telling an alternate version of the events between the first and second Mortal Kombat games. A similar game entitled Mortal Kombat Fire and Ice was to star Scorpion, and again Sub-Zero was cancelled, and the developers of Shaolin Monks couldn't do it in time and under budget. On October 18th of 2022, Mortal Kombat Onslaught was announced as a role-play game scheduled for a 2023 release for Android and iOS. NetherRealm said that it will be a cinematic experience and it will also be loyal to its core visceral nature. In other media, there were films, such as animated films. So, an animated prequel in 1995's Mortal Kombat film titled Mortal Kombat The Journey Begins was released direct-to-video in the same year as live-action film. A series to direct-to-video films subtitled Mortal Kombat Legends began in 2020 as a co-production between Warner Bros. Animation and either studio Mir or Digital Animation. The first Mortal Kombat Legends Scorpion's Revenge was released in April in 2020, and the first ever R-rated Mortal Kombat film. The second film, Mortal Kombat Legends Battle of the Realms, was released in August of 2021. The third film, Mortal Kombat Legends Snowblind, was released on October 11, 2022. A fourth film, Mortal Kombat Legends Cage Match, is set to release in 2023. The films in the series have received mixed to positive reviews from critics and fans. Excuse me. Now, when it comes to live action, Mortal Kombat was adapted into two major motion pictures, Mortal Kombat 1995 and Mortal Kombat Annihilation in 1997, both released by New Line Cinema. The first film was released of August 18th of 1995, grossing $23 million on its first weekend. Despite mixed reviews from critics, Mortal Kombat became a financial success, eventually grossing approximately $70 million in the United States and over $122 million worldwide. The film also gained a cult following amongst fans of video game series, with Robin Shou, Lyndon Ashby, Kerry Tagawa, Bridget Wilson, Talisa Soto, and Christopher Lambert starring, and its success launched the Hollywood career of its director, Paul W.S. Anderson. However, this momentum did not carry over into the movie's sequel, Mortal Kombat Annihilation, which was directed by John R. Lanetti, with Shou and Soto as the only two returning from the first film. The film received poor reception by critics and fans alike, grossing only $36 million in the US and $51 million worldwide, a disappointing result when compared to the first film. In 2010, director Kevin Tancarone released an 8-minute Mortal Kombat short film titled Mortal Kombat Rebirth, made as a proof to the concept for Tancarone's pitch of the reboot movie franchise to Warner Bros. Pictures. Tancarone later confirmed that the unofficial short featured the writing of Oren Uziel, who at the time was rumored to be writing the screenplay for a third Mortal Kombat film. In September of 2011, New Line and Warner Bros. Announced that Tancarone had signed on to direct a new feature-length film, a screenplay written by Uziel, with the intention of aiming for an R rating. Shooting was expected to begin of March of 2012, with a budget of under $100 million. Project projected at between $40 and $50 million, and a release date of 2013, but was ultimately delayed due to budget constraints. Tancarone quit the production of October 2013. The reboot, Mortal Kombat 2021, was released of April of 23rd in 2021 with mixed reviews, grossing over $84 million worldwide from theaters, while also releasing simultaneously on the streaming video service HBO Max. Production restarted on a reboot in 2015 when James Wan joined to produce to director Simon McQuaid joined the following year. The script was written by Greg Russo and David Callahan, with Louis Tan, Jessica McName, and Josh Lawson, Kendo Asano, and Hirogui Sanada starring. A sequel is in development, with McQuaid returning as director and Jeremy Slater set to write the screenplay. When it comes to print media, there were comics. A number of Mortal Kombat comic books were released in the video game series, including the official Mortal Kombat 2 comic. Books created by Tobias and advertised in the attract modes of early versions of the first two games. In 1994, Malibu Comics launched the licensed Mortal Kombat comic book series, spawning two 6-issue series, Blood and Thunder and Battle Wave, along with several miniseries and one-shot special issues dedicated to the special characters, until its publication ended of August of 1995. Two more comics were also made as tie-ins for Mortal Kombat 4 and Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe. A new miniseries titled Blood Ties was published prior to the release of Mortal Kombat X in 2015. When it comes to novels, Jeff Robin penned a novelization for the first Mortal Kombat game, which was published in 1995 in order to coincide with the release of the movie. Though the novel did not follow the movie plot, novelizations of both Mortal Kombat movies and were written by Martin Dero and Jeremy Preisner. Two paperback novels by C. Dean Anderson, entitled Mortal Kombat, Reptiles World, and Shango's Thunder, were written and never published due to the publishing company not securing the rights from Midway. When it comes to music, Mortal Kombat, the album, a techno album based on the first game, was created for Virgin America Lords of Acid members Raga Khan and Oliver Adams as the Immortals in 1994. Its iconic theme, Techno Syndrome, incorporating the Mortal Kombat yell first shown in Mortal Kombat commercial for home systems, was first released in 1993 as a single and was also used as a theme music for Mortal Kombat film series. Each movie had their own soundtracks, including the hit and award-winning compilation album Mortal Kombat Original Motion Picture Soundtrack, has had its second video game, Mortal Kombat 2, music for the arcade soundtrack. In 2011, the video game saw the release of Mortal Kombat songs inspired by the Warriors, a new soundtrack featuring electronic music by various artists. When it comes to television, we had an animated series titled Mortal Kombat Defenders of the Realm, which was released in 1996, and it ran only for one season. When it comes to live-action television, 1998 Mortal Kombat Conquest was released and lasted only one season. In 2010, Warner Premiere ordered a web series inspired by the Rebirth short titled Mortal Kombat Legacy and also directed by Kevin Tancharoen. The series' first season was released free on YouTube starting in April 2011, promoted by Machinima.com, and the second season arrived in 2013. In 2014, Blue Ribbon Content had been developing a live-action series that was to tie in with Mortal Kombat X for a panned 2016 release titled Mortal Kombat Generations. The series, however, was not released. There was also a stage show titled Mortal Kombat Live Tour, which was launched at the end of 1995, expanded to 1996, and featured Mortal Kombat characters in a theatrical display on stage. There were also collectible card games. Brady Games produced a collectible card game, Mortal Kombat card game, in 1996. Score Entertainers' 2005 collectible card game, Epic Battles, also used some of the Mortal Kombat characters. Interactive stock training games also were a thing. The Mortal Kombat Federation of Martial Arts was Threshold Entertainment's answer to restrictions for the franchise involving Midway Games' Mortal Kombat. The challenge was to create a game that successfully promoted the video game without competing against it. The answer we developed was to use a stock market investing game model attached to an active online community to generate interest. The community discussion built every week, leading to a big fight that would play out in installments over the weekend. This allowed players to eventually get their favorites by purchasing more stock prior to a fight and then hoping that their stock would go up in battle if their player won. When it comes to reception and sales for Mortal Kombat, it's been one of the most successful fighting game franchises in video game history, previously only trailing Bandai Namco's Tekken, Capcom's Street Fighter, and Nintendo's Super Smash Bros. As of 2021, it has surpassed the competitor fighting game franchises in worldwide lifetime series sales. It generated more than $4 billion by the late 1990s, and $5 billion in total by revenue in 2000. A particularly successful game was Mortal Kombat 2, which had unprecedented opening week sales figures never seen before in the video game industry, for the first time beating the box office numbers summer hit films. The Mortal Kombat games, however, have not been localized in Japan after Super Famicom release of Mortal Kombat 2 due to content guidelines against the depictions of blood, gore, and dismemberment, the bias blaming their very Americanized character design. Mortal Kombat games have sold more than 6 million units by 1994 and 26 million by 2007, and the figure has exceeded 30 million by 2012. As of 2022, the franchise sold over 79 million units. As far as ratings, reviews, and awards go, in 2008, the 2008 edition of Guinness Book of Records Gamers Edition awarded Mortal Kombat series with 7 world records, including most successful fighting game series. The franchise holds 10 world records in 2011 Guinness Book of Records Gamers Edition, including the largest promotional campaign for a fighting video game, which was Mortal Kombat 3, highest grossing film based on the beat-em-up video game, which was Mortal Kombat 1996, and most successful video game spin-off soundtrack album, Mortal Kombat Original Picture Soundtrack. Numerous publications described it as one of the most important and also one of the most violent series in video game history. In 2011, the staff of GameSpy wrote, "Its place in the fighting game history is undeniable." In 2009, game trailers ranked Mortal Kombat as the 9th top fighting game franchise, as well as the 7th bloodiest series of all time. In 2012, Complex ranked Mortal Kombat as the 37th video game franchise overall, commenting that its legacy status in video game history. Mortal Kombat as a series was also ranked as the goriest video game ever by Crave Online in 2009 by G4TV, and commented that Mortal Kombat had enough gore to simultaneously offend a nation and change gaming forever. As far as the legacy and cultural impact of the game goes, according to IGN, during the 1990s, waves of limitations began to flood the market, filling arcades with a sea of blood from games like Time Killers, Survival Arts, The Guardians of the Hood. Mortal Kombat had used unearthed era of exploitation games, both on consoles and in arcades, all engaging in a battle to see who would cram the most blood and guts into a low-res screen. Notable Mortal Kombat clones featuring violent finishing moves and or digitized sprites included BioFreaks, Bloodstorm, Cardinal Sin, Catfight, Eternal Champions, Consuming Ninja, Killer Instinct, Mace of the Dark Age,
Primal Rage, Street Fighter the Movie, Tattoo Assassins, Thrill Kill, Ultra Vortex, Way of the Warrior, and Midway Zone War Gods. John Tobias commented, some of the copycat products back then kind of came and went because in the surface level the violence will attract some attention, but if there's not much of a product behind it, you're not going to last very long. In a 2009 poll by GamePro, 21% of the voters chose Mortal Kombat as their favorite fighting game series, ranking it the third after Street Fighter and Tekken. In 2012, Capcom Street Fighter producer Yoshinori Ono said that he's getting a lot of requests for Street Fighter vs. Mortal Kombat and understands why people want it, but it's easier said than done. Having Chun-Li getting her spine ripped out or Ryu's head bouncing on the floor, it doesn't necessarily match. In 2014, martial artist Frankie Edgar opined Mortal Kombat has been far superior to Street Fighter. The series and its characters are often referenced in various other works in popular culture, such as the title of Power Glove's debut album of Mortal Kombat and Mortal Kombat Man, and let me say that again, from Mortal Kombat for the Mortal Man, and the Workaholics episode Mortal Kombat. According to Complex in 2012, years ago, Mortal Kombat became a phenomenon far outside the gaming circles alone. Its name has become recognizable enough to be name-dropped in sitcoms. Malcolm in the Middle and Married with Children. Found movies, Christian Slater plays MK4 in Very Bad Things, and use it as part of the cultural studies to see Dustin Cassell and Henry Jenkins' book from the Barbie and Mortal Kombat, Gender and Computer Games. It was also featured from the film Doom Generation. The name Mortal Kombat was even given to a dangerous illegal recreational drug that was introduced and caused multiple fatalities in early 2014. In 2012, Tobias said, if you look at any other pop culture phenomenon, like if you look at the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for instance, it became popular at the time, right around the time Mortal Kombat became popular, and it had its highs and lows, and they were once again talking about a major motion picture. That's because of its place in pop culture. It's always there for someone to pick up, polish off, blow off the dust off of it, and re-release it. And Mortal Kombat will always be that way. It'll be around 50 years from now. When it comes to competitive play, fighting games have been a popular genre among tournaments since the late 90s. Mortal Kombat has had its place of some of the world's biggest fighting game tournaments, including EVO and Combo Breaker, as well as many local fighting online tournaments around the world. Since 2011, Mortal Kombat has released. The game has been one of the most popular games at these events. Between 2014 and 2017, the game was mostly absent from the tournament scene, due to NetherRealm Studios being focused on their Injustice series as their top priority. Mortal Kombat games have returned to Combo Breaker in 2018. When it comes to controversies, the series was the subject of major video game controversy, and several court cases largely related to its extremely violent content, especially in relation to the original game, which paved the way for introduction for the ESRB, the Entertainment Software Rating System, game rating system in 1994, as well as the original Australian Classification Board. Various games in the series, as well as advertisements for them, have been censored or banned in a number of countries, according to Superdata Research CEO Juice Van Druenen. Because of the obvious rift between gamers and the one hand of adult society and the other, Mortal Kombat set the tone of what constituted gamer culture. In Germany, every Mortal Kombat game was banned for 10 years due to its release until 2015. Mortal Kombat 2011 is also banned in South Korea and was banned in Australia until February of 2013. MK11 is banned in Indonesia, Japan, China, and the Ukraine. So, wow, that was quite a mouthful. As you can see, Mortal Kombat is more than just a fighting game. It is, simply put, one of the biggest influences in pop culture, as well as all sorts of different media that's come out. We're talking from things like toys, movies, video games, TV series, and everything. I actually own the Mortal Kombat Conquest TV series. I found it on Amazon, and for me, at $20, it was a steal. Easily a steal, because I grew up watching it, and for me, bringing that back was a big deal to me. So it wasn't perfect, but it was still pretty decent. I highly recommend it, especially if you're a big Mortal Kombat fan. And it takes place like many years before the original Mortal Kombat tournament. Kung Lao is in there, Raiden is in there, and a lot of the more immortal characters are in there. I know Scorpion and Sub-Zero are in there, even though they don't necessarily have to be, but they're still in there. So yeah, basically Mortal Kombat to me represents such a huge part of my childhood and even my adult life growing up. It's always been around in my life. And now with the upcoming Mortal Kombat 12, and with all the leaks and rumors that have come out through data mines and as well as other content creators making their own videos about this, I have to say that I have not been this excited for a Mortal Kombat game in quite a long time. I would probably say the games that made me most excited obviously was the original trilogy in Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and 3. And then Deception was probably the most excited game that I got in during the 3D era. And then Mortal Kombat 9 really was just absolutely huge to me, since it was a retelling of the original trilogy of 1, 2, and 3 with its story mode and everything like that. I mean, Mortal Kombat 9 was terrific. Mortal Kombat X really brought things to another level. Mortal Kombat 11 is just like the most gorgeous looking Mortal Kombat game ever. And taking the things with different timelines is very interesting. So we'll see in which direction they go in. We'll see if they'll go with Liu Kang's side of the story or Shang Tsung's. It's going to be very interesting. And I really love how they brought back a lot of the old voice the old actors to reprise some of their voice roles, specifically Shang Tsung or Keith David with Spawn, which he was in the HBO series that was in the late 90s. So which I also watched. Mortal Kombat is absolutely huge. I mean, it goes beyond that. I mean, there's guest characters and stuff like that, and with the Conquest mode coming out, my goodness. This video can easily go for another hour, but for the sake of time, for the sake of just everything, including my voice and everything like that, I have to say that Mortal Kombat is a game that has simply survived because of the amount of love and care and respect to fans that the developers have been laying on the game. And it's a really good example of how things are done today, despite all the different things that take place with video games now when it comes to money and corporate and all that other stuff. So for many reasons, that is why this franchise has survived as much as it has. And it all started with the little digitized graphics games inspired by Jean-Claude Van Damme and Bloodsport, and as well as some Chinese shows or whatnot by John Tobias and everything. It all kind of came together to form this. And then after that, it ended up becoming this huge phenomenon that even fans, even people that are not fans of Mortal Kombat know about. And back in the day, even parents knew about Mortal Kombat simply because of the rating system and because it was on the news, because of how popular it was with its violence and stuff like that. There were other games that were more violent than it was, but and even more gory, but Mortal Kombat was that popular game, so Mortal Kombat was featured. And then there was the ratings board, and then I'm sure there were kids that weren't allowed to play it, but thankfully a lot of my friends were allowed to play it, as well as myself. So MK has always been amazing. I'm looking forward to the 12th game. And with that being said, I want to hand it off to you guys as I close. What kind of impact has Mortal Kombat had on you? Which is your favorite Mortal Kombat game? Are you looking forward to Mortal Kombat 12? Which characters are you looking forward to making a return, both antagonists and protagonists alike? What is your dream Mortal Kombat roster? What direction do you think Mortal Kombat 12 is going to go in? Let me know down in the comment section. It is a very exciting time, and I believe any day now we're probably going to get finally a reveal, and we're going to get a glimpse into the world of Mortal Kombat 12. So with that being said, thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.